Dude, you've got so much shit since... No, I was here before.
Well, you've been up here since last trip.
No.
BSA Hornet. The guy bought it brand new. Didn't know it wasn't street legal, so he never bought the headlight and the tail light for it. So the bike just kind of sat in his garage and was a shell for years and years and years. It still has the titties on the tires. It has no miles on it. The Harley dirt bike is brand new, 1974. It has 4 miles on it. I had 2 miles on it when I got it, but we've been pushing it around for 15 years. It has 2 more miles on it. But it was brand new. It came from Newcastle Harley. The old trials bikes. When my customers had an old Suzuki trials bike, I always wanted one. And I always bought them in twos. I probably had about 10 of them so far.
Okay, man, so this is just one half of the, what are we on, the third floor?
This is the third floor.
And we've been going around here for, you know, all of 5 minutes already, and I've seen like a significant representation of the history of motorcycling in this room. Do you ever think about someday like having the goal of actually having some kind of motorcycle museum?
I'd love to put a museum in. I've talked to quite a few people about it. I just never had the extra time.
There's almost nothing in this building that you don't have a personal story about.
Oh, every bike has a story. Bought the bike off you how many years ago? I bought how many bikes off of you?
Yeah.
I sold you your first shovel.
Yep.
So every one of them bikes has a story. I like the history of them.
Where do you think are some of the most remote places you've sold parts?
Common places are Japan, Australia. A lot of stuff goes United Kingdom. I've guys buying stuff from countries I've never heard of.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the country was there or where it was at, or they had motorcycles there. I guess there's bikes everywhere. One of my customers went to Egypt, and I guess the police department 10 years ago was still running knuckleheads.
No kidding.
And he went out there and bought 12 knuckleheads off the police department. Now, they were slapped together, and anything they could get to keep them running were on there, but he bought 12 knuckleheads. I didn't know. Have you ever heard of it? Would you go to Egypt to look for a Harley?
No. Now, what about downstairs a little while ago? We were talking about your buddies in the shop call you the Rain Man of motorcycle parts, and we started getting on about part numbers and keeping track. And, you know, obviously, how many years now you've been in this business? In the business, like since you started?
Since I was born.
Yeah, since you were born, you're around motorcycles. So obviously stuff starts to stick in your head, but you were actually starting to break down for me some of the part numbers and the way that they run in sequence and how it tells you where they're from. You
run into a good parts guy, and you can throw a number out, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. Parts guys are getting further and further and few apart. Guys that are really good at what they do. Harley part number is pretty easy. The last prefix, until 2010, they changed it. The last 2 digits of the part number are the year they started making it. The horn button is going to be a 71529-29, I believe. They've used that part from 1929. That came stock on the bikes. They turned from a horn button into a starter button in, what, 65? And they ran that same button, that switch, up until 72. So it's pretty much the same, unchanged. Same with the high-low beam switch. They use it for headlight on and off. They use it for high beam, low beam. Then they use it for spotlights. That's also a -29 part number. You know, the blade lever right here, this can be a -42 is when they started using the blade lever. And they ran that blade lever from 42 to 64. 65, they changed it and they put a hole in the bracket for the mirrors because they quit using the handlebar mirrors. It came off and they started putting them into the bracket. And here's 65 right next to us. And this must be an early 65 because you can see right here, the hole's never drilled, but it's marked. I've never noticed that before. That's actually pretty odd. Well, I was seriously born and raised in it.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, my parents had a motorcycle shop, and I remember sleeping at a bench for customers to sit on. And they got stuff in the leather department out front. And I was tired, I wanted to take a nap. I'd go crawl underneath the leather jackets and lay on a bench, take a nap.